My cat is missing. Pretty sad about it. Feels dumb because it's just a cat.
Luna.
Grew pretty close
Yeah,
to the
good.
cat. Pretty chill. It's such a weird thing we do as humans. We'll get an animal, usually a dog or a cat, and we'll grow super close to it, even though we know they'll die at some point in our lives. We know it'll hurt, yet we get them anyway. I don't know if my cat is dead or alive or what. Partially, that's the scary part. Weirdly, I'm more scared that she's alive than dead. Because if she's alive, that means she can suffer while she's missing. Part of me is pissed off how the world can put a fucking amazing creature into your life and then just take it away from you, seemingly with little remorse. On the other hand, the fact it puts it in your life at all is really beautiful, and I guess in a way you should be thankful for that. But if someone gave you something just to destroy it after you got attached to it, then you'd be pretty pissed off. Maybe the real problem is assuming anything in life is yours and not something you've borrowed from the world, which brings me to the Stoic principle that states that same thing. I'm assuming she's dead, which is pretty morbid and some would call it a defense mechanism, an assumption that she's dead so I don't have to delay my grief, and in a way I guess they'd be right. When my mother told me one time one of my dogs had a chance of dying soon, my mind had jumped straight to the grieving process. I partially grieved that dog even though he was downstairs, alive, and there I was in my room crying about a situation that hadn't happened. This goes entirely against my philosophy of how to live life and process situations, and so it begs the question, does any of this philosophy shit even matter? I mean, if I can't follow my own philosophy in the face of death, then clearly all my philosophy is smoke and mirrors. Nothing more logical or concrete than someone who blindly follows religion without any actual faith in what they believe. Faith isn't an ignorant following of something in spite of its contradictions. It's a trust. A deep trust. A trust that when you see a contradiction within it, you can look towards that thing you trust and trust to the core that it has something to explain away the contradiction. If a philosophy can't withstand the brutal wind life blows at it, then it's no better than a blind following of religion. And so maybe all this time I spent philosophizing and thinking in an attempt to explain the best way to live, fueled by a spite for blind faith, was just the most convoluted form of blind faith. And actually this whole time, all I was doing was tricking myself into believing a sense of structure for nothing more than comfort under the disguise of a search for truth. And maybe that's what we're all doing. Finding comfort, grounding, or something that makes some fucking sense, even though it makes no fucking sense. And I want to be angry at all of it, but I spent so fucking long being angry at everything and everyone, including myself, and it led nowhere at all. But that doesn't change the fact I feel fucking angry. And it feels so dumb living by all these logically accurate statements when they never at all align with feelings. And maybe the existence of feelings alone is an attack on logic itself, because it's not that humans aren't logical, but we have so many modes of being with so many logical systems for each state that there is no one way to map out a human logically, because even though we may be similar in a million ways but different in a billion others, you can't map out the Pacific Ocean by mapping out the Atlantic Ocean, even though they're the same connected body of water. And this is a really personal video, and maybe that's because I have this insane idea that being genuine with an audience is better than putting on an act. But does that really stem from a desire to be genuine, or does it stem from the complete egoic reason of thinking it makes me better than everyone putting on an act for entertainment even though it doesn't? Or maybe it's just that I want to be genuine and I'm pathologizing the whole thing in an attempt to sound somewhat poetic, when all that's really happening is I'm sad and pissed off, and I think putting it into something creative is more productive than crying. The answer to every question I ask is that I don't fucking know, but what I do know is I'm sad, and I want to talk about it to someone without talking to anyone. I start therapy next month, so at least the universe has good comedic timing.